Well, happy Wednesday to you. At least when while I'm live streaming, it's Wednesday. For those of you catching up later, obviously that's on your own leisure time. Always appreciate everybody. I hope and trust that your Christmas time has gone well. Your holiday, the just all the things that go on through that have been great, and that you're gearing up for a new year, a new chance to. As many people do, make some new decisions about life and friends and family and just all of those things. I hope that it's all coming together well. So, happy to be able to jump back on here tonight and spend some time. I'm going to actually be loading up our Season 1 world. Mr. Shift Space, my goodness, welcome, friend. Pleasure to have you join in here. I'm actually going to be going back to some of our old days. Shift goes back, way back, a few years on our Silentwisperer worlds. So anyway, Shift, you'll be happy to see I'm actually going to be loading up that world, going through some of my builds, and depending on how long we stay on there, I may see some others, but I thought over the coming weeks there's a few other worlds that have existed that I have the world downloads on that I want to take viewers through with our HD and RTX packs, so that it changes the way it looks, but also is a lot of fun. Good evening there, Beast. Welcome. So anyway, I thought I would let everybody know there's a couple of update packs, because you know a lot of the packs that I play with. So I'll show you here in the settings. Has just been updated over the last month. The all trades visible finally has a tweak that's really nice improvement to it. And same thing with the dark mode base pack. I like to have that. As you can see, it puts everything in a nice dark design, easier to read. But he's improved the stuff, so definitely go and get that downloaded. Both of these are available on MCPEDL. And but anyway, just since that was a brand new update, I figured I'd pass that along your way. So let's drop down here. Yes, that's the right one. Okay, so rather large world. Those of us that had played through that first season were allowed and given the resources to be able to download. Yeah, Shift. Dark mode is a huge bonus thing to have. It's easy searchable too. It's out there, the latest, and again, it's just get the latest version. Works great, but in Season 1 on the Silentwisperer world, I had the privilege of playing with Stonecracker, Barrett, Overtaken Realty, and then his wife later on came in as well. But we used to have other things here, and a creeper blew it up there towards the end of the season. But this was our first little spot that we put together as a team. On opening night, we had expanded and run through, and you'll see back there's a raid farm, old design, because this is let's see here, we've been playing for roughly 6 months on the new season. So this was built in 2019, I believe. It would have been the fall of 2019 when we started, and we did a mad dash and was able to secure that raid farm. But I built this to start us out, which was an underground bunker. And it allowed for us to have all of our basic storage. We put in an enchanting room down here that allowed us to be able to early game startups and everything. And then we had our storage, our stuff. We had our derp dude, so that we could always have our guard here, because we had our Nether Portal right down here. But eventually we removed that and put it up high, because we moved Nether tunnels up higher in the Nether. But this was our original storage area, and you'll see here, welcome to the Order of the Emerald Team Base. That's what we called ourselves. And so we had a nice large storage area here, which has since long been used up when we migrated out of here and went to our own bases. And I apologize, we had really cool banners, but in RTX, banners are still broken. But anyway, we had a planning room that was off to the edge here, which I've destroyed at this point in the season, and had built a downstairs to our base climbing area and all that kind of stuff. But off this edge, we had a really cool mine access point, little nether early game, just quick farm. One thing I've always done, and you'll see that in each of my worlds, is I like to always immediately build tunnels that take me down. At that point, as we all know, we're now in 1.18, but this was the optimum level to be at when we were in those early versions of Minecraft. And so I always come down and build my tunnels and get all that started for early game mining. We'll go to some of the cool builds here in a minute, but I wanted to show you something pretty neat. We were allowed early on, and I am in creative mode, but I'm running around for the moment just so you can see it as the way we did. We'll do some flying overworld. But Barrett, who has long since moved on and hasn't played with us in a while, he and I got permission early game. You'll see all this damage. We would actually do withers back here, and we were pretty efficient at being able to do it, and we never let them get away and things like that. So the mods were pretty cool at letting us do our own stuff. But this is another builds that I have way over here now that takes some tunnels in and out of those things. But we literally went way back here and just did tons and tons of withers and made it a lot of fun. But we'll go back and I'll show you the team base area, and then I'll give you some of our builds. And like I said, over the weeks to come, I'd like to feature several of the other old timers. You see Shift commented earlier, and he's was in the stream. Definitely want to go and show off some of his builds. He had some fun stuff on here. But let's go up. This area right here literally goes all the way to my first base that I had. It's hundreds and hundreds of blocks, and we'll explore that lower area. I did a pretty fun tunnel design. Okay. So this was literally our first wheat field that we had when we literally just did a quick little something just so that we all had some basic supplies when we started, and then we put together a simple tree farm for getting tons of oak trees, and then eventually right here we put in a that's so funny to see that when we're in creative mode. Wonder why those are still going in direct daylight. That's kind of odd, isn't it? But anyway, here, we'll lift up. So we put in a nice cactus farm. It's nothing super fancy. It doesn't move super fast, but it works efficiently enough to get you some green dye and things like that, especially when it's being loaded in the area you're at. But I had an idea when I first started. We were going to have a lot of team things and stuff like that, so I'd put together this Order of the Emerald spot. And right now these blocks, because the game's being a little funky, I did some work on my textures today, and so it's loading some of the sub-textures a little roughly, but that's why those look funky. But that is actual glazed tile stuff. I just haven't worked those textures into the game yet. But this design was supposed to have originally been a hall that I was going to build for our team and so forth. And then over time, the team kind of dissipated. But you can see here, because we were the Order of the Emerald, I put together an emerald floor there. And but when you play on servers, sometimes people have life that comes up, and they had to shift out, and it soon became to where I was one of the only ones left on my team playing all the time. Let's see here. So Shift commented, honestly still regret not finishing your castle. Yeah, you had a really cool idea over there. But I think I started too big. I need to first learn how to make a nice house. Regret. Yeah. No, it's one of those tough things. I like to build big, and you're going to see some of my unfinished projects on here too. But the idea of this originally was to have a hall that went up so that there would be a meeting room up high that could look down on this foggy, you know, monument to the team's progress, and then obviously having the features of guards on the edges. And eventually down the road we actually built this outdoor above world tree farm. This is a design that I saw on Slack Lizard's realm. Isn't that funny to say realm, because we don't do that anymore, we do servers. But it was a neat idea to have this glass overhang like this to where you could then drop down on top of each tree, mine it straight down. A really genius idea. Really neat way to do that. But before we go into more of the team base back over this way, I'm going to show you how this went over here. This obviously was just a quick... Our team base, we just kind of made a hodgepodge of things to be able to get supplies and stuff like that. So here was all of the end stuff so that you could get purpur and, you know, make blocks and, you know, end rods and whatever. But this is the old classic Foxy no-tail concrete maker. So if you haven't seen this and you're new to Minecraft, or maybe just have been around for a while and never knew that, you do a 64 block space by putting stairs upside down like this on one side, and you can do it on the other two if you want. It's all up to you, but you want one side so that you can waterlog the stair, and then you're gonna literally run backwards in here with your powdered concrete, and you just place it backwards as fast as you can, and it instantly turns to concrete. And then when you're done, you just mine it straight out and do it over and over and over. It's a very, very efficient way of getting your concrete done. But as I said, we did a mad dash when we started the game and claimed this raid farm area. And this is where we spent a lot of time. Our stores, you'll see Barrett actually put together the farm. We had an early game player that was helping us as well that ended up kind of losing favor with the server. I'll just leave it with that. Did some things that wasn't smart and wasn't good. But, you know, we had this full automatic sorting system that would take out everything for us. And it kept it organized. I don't know why that when the world loaded up, all the item frames don't have the items in it. That's odd, but had a nice rudimentary cooking area here that allowed us to be able to smelt down as much of the armors and things like that. We'd take those and smelt them down to get early game iron and things like that. Then later on, we got a sugarcane farm built back here that would then feed stuff into here. We had our composter, all that kind of stuff. And then about a year into it, Yasung came and helped us build this with the multiple spawn spots, the way the mechanics worked back then. And so we were able to just get rates that were crazy. And because we supplied our shops, we had we just had tons and tons of this stuff to be able to give people on the server. And then during one of the Halloweens, I built this really fun maze spot. Yeah, you forgot about that person. Yeah, we had several persons, just like any startup spots. servers and things like that. You're going to have some looky-loos and some weirdos, but anyway, yeah, so I did this really fun Halloween maze. So I built a giant jack-o'-lantern up here, and in turn we called it the Maze Runner. And people could put some of those that did. Let's see who was way back then. Trinificius, PS4. Yeah, this was another one of our, in fact, a future team that I helped with and spent time with. Let's see here. Mastrius. Oh my goodness. Mastrius as in Mastrius from our current server? Or someone else? Let me know. Thank you for that follow and for joining here tonight. But PS4, really fun guy, really fun player, and eventually just did some things. He had a bad phase of life and got kicked. But Creeper, he's still a huge Silent Whisperer fan and shows up from time to time. Brown Penguin, I have not seen him since this season at all. So he may still be playing around. Stampy's long gone. Mikrael, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I hadn't seen him since this season. And then Dr. Tay came into the new season a little bit, but I haven't seen him much. But anyway, the goal of this deal was you were to come in here, and obviously in RTX it gets really dark. But because carpets don't, show light, but I had done it to where you would have light that would shine through in normal textures, and your goal was to find your way all the way to the other side. There's tons of dead ends and everything, and you'd start your timer, and so it made it kind of fun. And then I did kind of a dangerous return here. And so anyway, your goal was to get all the way over to here and make your way out and then record your time and establish what it was. So it was a fun little game that was set up. And then here was a cool auto tree farm. And there was a person by the name of Quomith that helped me design this, and it allowed me to be able to grow trees pretty fast and get a lot of materials for the big builds that I was doing. I also had the tree farm over here that would allow me to place them, bone meal them, and grow them right up, and I did colored shulkers so that I could see, what the different pieces was. That's right, Shift. That was you. Oh my goodness. Okay. I thought about that when I came in here just a minute ago. I was thinking it was Shift that had done it, but then I was like, Quomieth, what? So that was your old name. My goodness. Oh my goodness. How cool is that? So I did this design so that I could see which tree type it was, whether it was wood or leaves, so that I could organize that as needed. And then I just, your traditional basic tree farm here that allows you to get whatever you need. So this was, we use this really just as our supplies and things. And you're going to see some loading issues because of some old game mechanics. Let me make sure that my RTX didn't go overboard here too. We'll double check that. Oh, that's part of it. In RTX, you really shouldn't be much more over than 8 when you're using a high-end graphics pack like mine. Even though you can have a system, my system will handle it in theory, but in actual game mechanics, the game mechanics are weird. It just starts shutting down. But Barrett had built us a pretty neat combination lock team base hidden area. It was back here. It went under the ground and had a storage and things like that. So we had a lock code that would let us in and out. And then one or two of our guys, I think this was what's his name? Stonecracker was working on a cow farm. By the way, I've been experimenting. I think I've got a fairly decent texture going. Right now RTX doesn't let you do entities in RTX, but I can do textures. So like here, I've got this cow texture that I've been playing with. I'm starting to work on entities. Let me see if I can get him to move back or something. We'll find one later. But anyway, this had wheat that would automatically go down, and then the cows would be bred up, and then they would get cooked, and so we had meat whenever we needed it. And then late in the season, Overtaken came through here and built Silentwisperer's giant trading hall, and then we ended up leasing out memberships to come use this trading hall. And that's part of the lag that you're getting. See that lag? This is one of the things that's going on in the latest versions of Minecraft, is if you've got a trading hall with lots of entities like that, it creates lots of lag. You can see when I look away, it's all gone. And then, whoop, now we're back. So yeah. But, so you can see his really cool build. We'll step in there. So someone must have busted out our doors, but as you can see, we had every kind of trader under the sun in here. So you could see each one of these guys. These were our lectern guys, and he did a really nice design, you know, finishing it out and making it look cool too. But we'll run up here. So it went level to level, and then it had just, you know, traders galore. And then we had the zombie curing stations up here so that we could get the costs of things down. And so we had all of these different different traders, which just made it a lot of fun. Then early game, I did this back here, and then later came back and did all this pathway design and all this kind of stuff. But this would lead you over to my wool farm, and you'll see it come into render distance. And I did some fun builds and things over time, because, you know, you'd have to be AFK to get a decent amount of stuff. So I'd come out here and do building and developing and let that thing run, and it made it lots of fun. This is my giant wheat field here that went on and on with a nice little resting place there in the middle. And as you can see, because we have entities back there, we're getting that lag again when you get grouped entities together. So bear with it. And again, some of the texture resolutions are a little bit off. I've been messing with the pack today. So it takes a while for Minecraft to catch up, and then it re-renders back at full resolution once it dumps all the cache and all that. So if you're using our packs, know that if you're using the big, large packs, that sometimes the textures may go down slightly, like the leaves here aren't quite as crisp as they're supposed to be in the dirt, and after it loads a few times and things like that, it'll reset, and then the true textures will come back in solidly. But this was one of Silentwisperer's farm designs, and so you would put your sheep in these different areas, and I had all the colors so that we could do our trading and all of that. Then you had the minecart underneath that would run around and pick it up, and so I built a storage room down here that allowed for every color to be gathered and made it easy to be able to go in and out. I'm one of those that when I'm organizing, I want to be able to come down and grab, so I did it in a perfect circle. It also, or a square, excuse me. But it also allowed for the hopper delivery system to jump around and then have a proper setup on the back to be able to organize it and make sure that everything went to the right places. And as you can see, it's collecting a lot of items. So anyway, and made it just a little fun design in this area. Those guys spawned in there, and I don't know if my horses, I had some cool horses, I don't know if they just despawned or if they got killed or what, but those guys never would despawn, so I just left them there. And you're going to see here, we could actually do map art back then, but it's even glitching right now. But new maps, it's just best in the new world of Minecraft, it's best to just skip maps for the most part, unless you're on your own world. They just cause so much lag. But that was the actual map art that I made out at my map art facility. Shift, who's here, actually did a lot of map art. And he was really, really good at it with those real complex ones. I just did the ground with wool and blocks and things. He would do those massive, you know, 64 high, 128 high, whatever developments. But anyways, you can see here, I really worked at getting just a really cool area back here that had a bee's nest, had all the growth, making a new map art as you speak. Yeah, and you really are good at it. I really feel bad for the fact that it's hard for you to showcase your art because I guess you can on private worlds and things, but on public deals it just crashes the game so bad. But anyway, we'll skip back out of here and we'll go to where I first started in the game. And just to champion what you were saying, Shift, this was the mansion I never finished. And I'm actually getting real close to finishing my mansion on this season because this just made me sick that I never got this done. But pretty cool design. I had this gigantic library that I had built. And the goal was to just have this very elegant massive library that would sit in here, and the back wall would have armors and things like that. But alas, never did finish. Had a lot of fun up here, but just never did get around to wrapping that up completely. But I was really proud of this floor design, and I'll probably use it again soon. It's a combination of obsidian, gold, and diamond. And I just thought it always looked and felt really good. And when you're up high on one of these floors, as you can see, just a really regal, cool looking piece. So the goal with this property was to have, you know, this outer wall that didn't have a roof. It was kind of like a courtyard, and it would, you know, cover this whole area with a nice fountain meeting area. And I was going to have it all decorated, you know, a true home with, you know, a road and stuff that would lead out to the branch to the other roads that I had made. And as you can see, there was various rooms and places, and I'd done this fun design where I had glass above the sea lantern, so it made just kind of a really cool processed flooring. And then back here, I was actually working on, before they crashed maps, I was doing map art so that I could make wallpaper. And I had several designs, and then it started lagging out the game, so I had to quit doing that. So, but a really neat idea. If they can ever fix the map issue causing lag, I'll go back to doing this. It takes a lot of work, as you can see, you know, 128 by 128 block area of land that you flatten out, and then you just add the colors to it. But you know, by following the right design, you know, this would have made a really cool kitchen tile, fake tile that I was going to put around in here. And then this was to be a gigantic aquarium was the plan. And the glass would come up here on the edges, and then this would just be a gigantic aquarium that you could see from all angles of this lower part of the house. I'd started terraforming the bottom here, shaping it to make it, you know, fun, but I'm always one, I do too many projects, and then at that point I had a lot of IRL things, a lot of real life activities that were not allowing me to play as much. I haven't always been able to make money at the game too. And so, again, you always see it at the top of my stream. That's why I always have my Kingdom patrons up there. The more that I have of you involved, the more I'm able to do this, and then obviously provide you with more textures and more development. So let's see here. Shift posted. You can do map art again only as long as I'm cautious about making maps. And he does use a program to cut down the number of ripped maps on the new server. Yeah. Let me know, by the way, what you find out from Silent, because if there's ways for us to do some of that. I've just stayed away, trying to be kind. I've even gotten to where I don't do a whole lot of automatic farms and things like that, just so that I'm not contributing to issues on the server. But as you can see here, I really loved the idea of being able to have this uplighting and the combination. I'll probably use a floor like this again. It's just so regal, just a cool look and feel. But I had chose this mountain because I wanted to do builds and things down in the ground, and we'll go around and we'll check those out. But later in the game, I finally came back and added this entranceway. And this was back when you could put sea lanterns on here, and it looked like lampposts, yard lights, solar panel lights. Now they don't emit light like they used to, but sitting like that, they would actually emit light, which was a really cool thing. So this would take you down, and I eventually had wanted to develop this into just kind of a small little park play area for the residents that lived here. And then it eventually went over here to that bridge that goes over to some of the development. But I'm going to show you where I first started the game. Literally, we had that team base area that I dug out, and then I had come back here underneath and had built a storage room. And at the very beginning of the game, this was the first patron server, and we had several viewers and things that got in that were just scammers, and you know how it is when you first get some new things. You get the looky-loos and people that just goof stuff up. So what I had done is I had come in and had a secret spot down here. Now, none of this was here, obviously. I designed this later just to make it fun and make a neat build that would then drop me down to a Y11 in 3 different cardinal directions. Hey Beast, as always, thank you for hanging out. Have a good night, and if I don't talk to you, have a great new year. So I like to finish out my tunnels too, and this one I made good use of the regular blocks that I was mining out, and give it a finished look and a finished run. But something that was really cool that I did is I had actually put in a hidden deal here that you just take out those blocks, no redstone, no nothing. And this was my first storage, development, everything that allowed me to be able to have everything, and the scammers couldn't come steal all my crap. And because literally I had it twice, and they ended up getting banned, but I lost a bunch of stuff. So put in this hidden area that allowed me to do a lot of my basic stuff. And you're gonna see this is where I'm a Star Trek guy, and so there's Dax, there's Harry, there's Spot. Obviously, those of you that are into Star Trek, you're gonna see in every world that I'm in, if I get a witch's cat, I always name it Spot in honor of the great Data. But this was all of my different storage pieces. Here was Neelix and Kess. And then I had the book for the actual server, the instructions and all that. By the way, those of you that are playing, I sure hope you're liking our HD paintings. Sure has made a difference in how our builds and everything look and work. But yeah, I had my smelters, had a little bit of a working area. and all of that. And then back here, you can see I've got my bamboo growth. This was Silence Flower farm design. Had my cocoa. Had this was when there was a special concrete maker that would work with redstone. I think that's long since been broken. Had all my end blocks. And then down here was another tree growing area. Had just basic flowers to expand and play with. And then back here was an actual auto flower deal that would go in and out. I had a fishing farm right here that had all the way up to be able to see up, so it had air breathing so that I could actually do fishing. And over here was a pumpkin and melon farm. I think that was an old, I want to say, prowl design. And then here was one of Silentwisperer's netherwort. I don't know why I had a brain lag for a minute there, but a netherwort farm that you could ride here and just hold down your fortune pick and just go up and down, and then do the same thing, ride this back and forth, and it would allow you to then place it all back down. Really neat idea. And then down below, oh yeah, here was my potion brewing station. And again, each one of these had items in them in the item frame. I think when they did the export, it must have dropped out all the items from item frames. But it allows you to be able to pick your potion ingredients. It would then mix them, send them down here. It would drop into bottles that would then, you know, drop into the... I'm really having trouble with brewing stand. I'm really having trouble with remembering everything tonight like that. That's crazy. But that made for a nice little arrangement. And then here was Liara's sea pickle farm. So that gave me a lot of lime green plus sea pickles for going out underwater and things like that. So, did you notice how just about every chest has those two maps in it? That's interesting. Then down here I did my own concrete maker row and block breaking area. And then my giant smelter. So it allowed you to be able to put stuff in top, on the sides, and then collect underneath. So this was how I was able to do all of the different things that I did in the game, and never have to worry about someone jacking up my stuff. By the way, there's the new texture for the loom. We'll see more of that in a minute. Got that done this week. Also, I've been working on the new kelp and seagrass textures. So we'll take a look at that here in a bit, but I'll show you underground and then we'll come back up. So down here was my nether portal that would take me into my areas. And then when I had done this, if y'all that have been playing for a long time, you probably remember when you could literally swim through water like this. It makes for a cool sewer look anyway, but you could literally swim in and out of this real fast. Later on, it just became a boating deal. But in RTX, it makes a cool look anyway. Never looked this good back then. We didn't have RTX. But I was working on this, you know, underground pillar design as I would mine out areas. I would then add these pillars that would go up and down, and there's the tunnel that goes all the way back to our team base. And then this area literally goes all the way to my giant pyramid. So I had built all the way through here, and as you can see, these tunnels hadn't been dug out, but a bunch of these had. And then right over here was my slime farm. It goes all the way up to the surface. So it's the old mechanics with iron golems on the edge, so that the slime farms, slimes would spawn, drop over into magma, and then burn up. And then all the collection area down here. So they would literally burn up right there, turn into, you know, make their slime drops that would then water flow all the way over here to a storage system. Let's see here, kelp. Yes, excellent. Can't wait to see it. Hey there, Cavell. By the way, Cavell, have you seen the new, in the last update, you probably, I hope you downloaded version 5, because I was able to fix the deep slate to more 3D texture, and I appreciate your input that you had brought. So that has been updated, and it looks incredible now on the standard HD pack. Looks very similar to the 3D and RTX. So I got all the way over to here, and the reason I stopped back up in here is because this literally goes up into my overworld giant pyramid. I gotta try to remember where the where the staircase was at. Maybe it's right here at the end. So I do have a spot that literally allows us to climb straight up into there without getting lost in these caves. Isn't that funny how you can live in a certain world for so long and know it so well, and then once you're out of it for a bit, you lose kind of lose touch with how some of those pieces work. Well, I don't want to waste your time, so let's see here. I know it was down one of these, would then allow for an up spot somewhere in there. Nope, not there. Okay, so we'll just zip back, see if there's a I don't remember if there was another way up. None of this leads to the up out, then I'll just dig straight up and we'll find a way out. Okay, let's just do that. Okay, yeah, that did real well. Okay, so there's the giant pyramid build. In fact, we'll come back to check that out. But my mansion is right back up over there. Here is the slime farm. And so I did a fun build out here that made it more industrial-like. Almost like coming into a complex in the middle of a field. It had switches on the edge that would allow you in and out. And then there was a up and down elevator that would let you get down to the bottom to collect the drops. But up here you could actually get up onto the edge and you could view them down and see the slimes. There's one spawning in right now. And they would spawn in and do all their things. And so anyway, I had a guardian farm of my own, and so I had tons and tons of drops. So I used dark prismarine bricks, and sea lanterns, so that it would play off of the slime block look and build and all that kind of stuff. So it was fun. Obviously, gave a lot of use of time. But back here, if you followed this road here, and of course I put a upgraded fence around all of this property that goes in 2 different directions. But I was developing the area and I had guards at every entrance. But back here was my bee farm. So I had some outside here just for aesthetics. Oh, Cavell, you did. How cool. And you love it. Dude, that means a lot that we hit the mark. As I continue growing these packs, there's going to be stuff like that those of you like yourself that are using it are able to point out. And we realize that we'll keep improving as we go. But thank you for that. So you can see here, this would allow for them to come out, pollinate, and then they would leave their drops underneath there. They'd get harvested by redstone. And then on this side, it was similar. It would do the hives, and then those would get harvested. So I would get my honey and my honeycomb and all of it. And so you would come back here and you would have, like, there's the honeycomb on this side, and then the honey, and the other would come over here in the honey jars. But I think I had pulled it all out before we got to the end of the game, end of the season. Yeah, there's some of the build supplies and stuff left over. Yeah, see honey and some other things in there. So yeah, so this made for just a nice, lovely little area to then come over and AFK out. And then I built whoever would be managing this farm, I built them a home right here. It just made sense, you know, that they would live close by and manage the property. Obviously, a zombie took out the door. But I never finished the interior, but I did get the basic home built. And it made for just a nice little area and some little balconies to overlook the property and, you know, that kind of stuff. So we'll fly up over here. Whoops, no we won't. That's just the right height. So let's zip out and... right here, I added another little bee spot, and I think all of these bees, this was back when they would despawn, so I don't think any of them are left in the world back here. But it made for just a nice little decorated area, and then I had a lot of hidden lighting with pumpkins through leaves to keep the area lit up. And back here was just a nice little waterfall area that had underground lighting as well. So you can see, spent a decent amount of time working on these areas. I'm not really happy with the way that this is loading in tonight. Let me see if real quick before we continue. Let me see if I were to unload and reload the pack. For some reason it's downgrading tonight. Let's just pull it out. Close the program. I'm not quitting. The stream isn't over. We're coming right back. I want to see if reloading it will bring the resolution back. As always, a lot of players get upset and get frustrated when the game does that, but just the sheer enormity of what they're doing to get this game to function the way it is so amazing that I try not to be gripey. And sometimes you just have to do this, and it may or may not work for us tonight, but once the game itself clears out that cache, which I don't think I have any cache from other worlds and things. Once it pulls its own cache out, then it will reset and actually give you that high resolution that you like so much. Let's see if maybe, because last night it was working great, and it's still doing the resource fallback. Okay, well we won't circle it around. What I could do is try lowering it one level in the order, but I want it higher than the dark mode, because I like my stuff that overlays that for that takes over the dark mode stuff. So there's a few things that I do in my own pack that I like to overlay. So if it doesn't recover, no worries, you can still get the basics of it. But as the designer, yeah, see, it's still doing it in lower resolution. Well, apologies. One of these streams, the game will have caught up and been there, but it still gets the basics of what we're doing. But yeah, this was an actual desert temple, which you can see there, that I had found, and I had the idea to build a massive pyramid over it. And over time, as I was digging out, I found some other really cool things that were close by. This was a zombie spawner. And so it literally is right next to it. So I had that for doing all those drops and everything. And by the way, for those of you that haven't seen, this is the black glazed terracotta. I have that one done in RTX and in our pack. These are other glazed terracottas, but I will get more of them done here in the future. But a 16 by 16 where I have to do each individual color match can take sometimes up to 2 hours for just one of these. But we'll get them done in the future. So anyway, you can hear these guys spawning in right now. So that was a really great source of a bunch of drops and things way back. But I had come in and... Mr. Kula! My goodness, thanks for saying hello, dropping in. So I had come in and added, colored full beacon with all upgrades and stuff underneath. And that's the only real modifications I did to the original temple, outside of then adding on this extra layer on the outside just to make it a little bit more fancy around the edge. But then as I was digging over here, lo and behold, here was a fossil down in there, so I'd created a fossil exhibit. Need your Derptopia fix. My laptop is shot. Well, right now I'm on season 1, so I guess that still works, as you were one that played on here, and at some point we need to do a tour of your builds on this. That would be a lot of fun too, one of these nights. And so in here I had the water goes up to the edge, so I built just kind of a viewing area that would allow us to look through. And of course, when you're in just the HD pack, you can see through better, but in RTX, glass doesn't do as well unless you're from the inside looking out. Then you can see better, as you can see. Now it allows us to see through a little bit better. But, oh, you're getting a new PC. Congrats. That's exciting. That's really exciting. Love those moments like that. So you can see this is what I was using Liara's farm for. Getting all of these sea pickles to be able to decorate all through a bunch of my water areas. But Cavell, if you're watching right now, there's the new double tall seagrass. And because I'm designing this primarily on RTX and then migrating over to HD, the double tall seagrass and the kelp will not have the animated textures. It just makes the files way too big in HD. But I did keep the basic seagrass animated, so it does kind of add to it. As you can see, it still gives you that illusion of movement in the water. But really like the way that that's turned out as far as the double tall seagrass starts to look inside the water. But I had these openings right here so you could come in and out of there whenever you wanted. And then in all cardinal directions, I had used the different types of armor guys that, you know, as if this was an old build from way back when that used to have roads that went off to places, so I just made it fun like that. Then I had a collection of horses. There's my diamond armor horses and a couple of ghost horses, and of course in RTX some of the horse textures are still struggling, so that's why that's an issue. But this was my, you know, like I said, I always like to have some sort of a somewhat of a Stargate in every world, and I have one in my new world too, but this was my Stargate on this world. And so then this outer edge here would lead out to an area that this city was the first city I claimed, so I had villagers to work with. And back there I actually did all my terracotta villagers. I set them up in a building. But this was my giant map art. My giant map of our areas and our builds. So you can see we're standing right here. And off in the distance here I have a... We'll go by, but that's my lighthouse island. And then over here was a phantom farm, Silentwisperer's gigantic one. And you can see there's two other cities. No one else ever came out to this area. I've offered when we were playing for them to take those cities for their own builds, but I was working on some roads that would take us to and from these different areas. And then this was a Millennium Falcon that I was in the process of building and never got done. Got a lot of not done projects on here. It was my first server to be a part of, and I didn't realize how efficiencies and all that kind of work, so I kind of was all over the place. But that's that slime farm that we were at, and the bee farm. And then you're going to see this road network that I built that takes you over. This was where my map art buildings, my area was. And then there's the Halloween deal that we toured. And then obviously our team base. And there's the sheep wool farm. And then some gigantic builds that I did way back over here. I have my Walls department store that has every block in the game almost inside of it. This one had a few more farms and things that Barrett had started, and then when he was gone I took over. And then this over here was my double iron farm with underground mining and trees and all kinds of other stuff. We'll go see it, but it's a gigantic build. Took months and months. As you can see here, this was part of the lore I was working on, was this monumental temple that had been found, and then the roads, you know, led off, and I was in the process of working on iron and developed roads that would make our way back. But this was that Millennium Falcon build that I had started, because my goal was to make this kind of like a space station area out on the edge. And trying to think of the name of the YouTuber, because I always like to, and the signs, I don't have any. There was a sign that was here that said who it was. I'd have to pull it up, but anyway, I usually try to look for players that are good at what they do, and he had this really cool Millennium Falcon, and so I was following his step-by-step guide. But as you know, in survival, and of course back then I stopped doing some of these because we didn't have one player sleep, so we would literally be stuck at night a lot of times on the server, and so many times I would get, you know, like part of this built and a creeper would blow up and blow it up, and then the next night that it went to dark, it did it again, and so I just started losing some of the joy, so I didn't finish some of these as much. But you can see here I've got this pathway that goes over to that phantom farm, and then this pathway that leads over to the lighthouse. And my original plan was to develop this lighthouse to where I'd have some ships and things out there. And so a lot of times I'll do stuff like this now, because I learned that in doing this you acquire so many resources just by digging out these paths, so you get kind of double time while you're building a path. But this was the lighthouse, and I'll show you what I did out here. Let's drop down, and then I'll actually go down. Cavell, if you're still here, I will show you the kelp here just shortly, so while we're out here. But this was the docks I had built off the edge of this island, and that's why I picked the area too, because it had a little small island. And so I had, you know, these guards that would allow that, and the goal was to actually have some ships that were docked and sitting out in the deal, and just never got around to it. This is a full functioning lighthouse that had development on the inside. I love that painting a lot. But it had just some basic, interesting though, these items are still in the item frames, whereas all those others in the other places weren't. That was strange. But it has a wooden staircase deal that goes all the way up. I'll just fly up since we're in creative. And it allowed you to get up here to an actual lit up lighthouse. Let me see here. Is Cavell still in here? It shows, looks like maybe. But if you are, here is that new kelp, and I think you're going to really like this. I went for glossy, like real water. As you can see, the darker, every time that I've swam in the ocean and things like that, underwater, it's usually fairly dark material the way it feels, so I tried to mimic and match that, but so there we go. So it should really help with anybody that really enjoys being in the ocean and the water. As you can see in the RTX setup, it's just really makes it feel very ominous. Let's see here. So yeah, when you know, the deeper you get with the taller pieces too, you can see how just wonderful that feels. So that should, for everybody that really enjoys doing builds, especially with things that are in the water or underwater, this should really help with your build palette and design and look and everything. Okay, so let's see here. I think you guys know what a phantom farm is like. It's just tons of magma. So I won't head over there unless somebody just volunteers that they would like for me to do that. I think some of my other builds would be of more interest here. So right over here, in fact, since I forgot we were in creative, this is what, if you haven't done one, this is what a proper slime farm build can be for you. And of course, I finished out all the walls and everything as I dug it out. But this one's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 levels. So it allows for just tons to spawn, and then they drop down. They die on the magma blocks, and you collect the drops. But if you'll put a... looks like that one despawned or something went weird, but if you'll put an iron golem in each of these, the slimes always try to get to them and then fall down and die. You can't wait to see it in your ridiculous kelp farms. Yeah, I think you'll even like it in the HD pack version. Okay, while we're here, let's see, I was going to show you, I mentioned that I'm starting to just play with entities. Obviously, I can't do the textures too large or it starts causing issues. But this is the cow that I just started playing with this week. Designed taking real photos and then chopping it together to make it. So, should be kind of fun as we go. But when you leave this area and come across this bridge, it then led over to an area that when I was going to get finished, I was going to put in cars and things like that, but this was the highway network that you saw on the maps. So I dug out this diagonal tunnel through here. And then had just kept extending that way. I didn't have lights. You can see the bases were just started. When we get way back over there, close to my department store, basically it's a Home Depot, but since I'm Wallace, I called it Walls. But you'll see I have lights that go all the way back that way. But before we go there, and not to waste your time, we're going to do it like we had Elytra and just fly. But this road would send you over to past this bonus city, send you over to where I had developed my map art building station. So had you have driven your Minecraft car on vacation to come out and play at the crazy cool map art museum, you'd come to this this build out here. And as you can see, right now there's no map art going on, but I literally had this thing, and this was before the light mechanics. Now you don't have to have this many lights, but at that point this was the only way to keep from it blowing up. So I would use carpets, which I had a wool farm so that I could get tons and tons of carpet. Which you'll see here, I've got extra stuff. I've got the wool so that I can do extra carpets, things like that. And you'll see just tons and tons of carpets. And then it would allow me to literally place down carpet by carpet, 128 by 128. And then that would allow for when I did a map, it would then place the map art into that single map. Now your key is you can't just do that anywhere. You need to literally carry a map when you go pick an area and open up the map so you know where you're standing in it, and then you know where the corner edges are, so that every time that you develop a map, and then if you add glass to it, you can lock it in. then you always have that map design, and then you can duplicate it as many times. But yeah, this was my map art building area. And I didn't do anything fancy like a water machine that would erase it and stuff. I just would run through it and clear it out myself. But I did want there to be a cool build, like it was a true deal, so I took the time to come through and just add this development around the edge. So, as you can imagine, you know, if you've ever done this or want to try, it's a huge undertaking, but you saw the maps that I had done. It really makes a big difference, and you can do some really neat color effects depending on the blocks you use and the gradients you want and all of that. So we'll zip across this area, head back over. And I haven't shown you any of my nether builds or my guardian farm. My guardian farm is a giant oil derrick out in the middle of the ocean. So, this is what I was doing, was building a network. As you can see, we're back to the raid farm, back with the group, but I was building a network of highways that would connect all of my pieces. I've often wondered if I shouldn't just continue to develop within this area in creative just to finish out some of it. But I still enjoy as much as I can getting to play with other people, so I still spend a lot of my time on server type builds. But as you can see, here was my giant Lowe's Home Depot homage. Excuse me for just a moment, gotta sneeze. Wow, apologies, that snuck up on me. But I did granite and polished granite edge with red nether brick foundation and edge for the retaining wall here. And then put in water feature at the front. Either side, so it's the entranceways to the property. And then you would drive up the middle, and there you can see the giant walls sign there. And there's going to be some lag because I've got a lot of armor stands and stuff in there, so that causes lag in the game. But had this nice sized parking areas. And then what I was doing is that was back before RTX, so I was doing carpet lights to keep the place lit up, but now with the new light mechanics, you wouldn't have to. This would many times be enough, or a simple light, you know, every now and then. But you would enter here, and this guy had spawned in and fell up top, and they stayed there, so I kind of just made them as my official greeters of the of the store, or workers up there, whatever you want to call it. But you'd come in the front doors, and here was movie games, soda dispenser, the carts to be able to pick up, the checkout stands, and all of the fun features. But I had was literally going through every block in the game to be able to put it on display. So you'll see here all these different pieces of things as if it was a gigantic supply store. Hey Shift, thank you. Appreciate that. That's kind of you. And so here was every wool color in the game. Had it on its own sales aisle. Then here was the sand variants and red sand, and every time I get lag, it's because I'm looking at all those armor stands back there. But Appreciate your kind words, Shift. Right now they're appearing more like at 256. They're actually 512 resolution, but they're downgraded at the moment with the way some of the mechanics in the game hit and miss because I unloaded and reloaded. But this texture I just got done as well. There's the new dried kelp block. So now it's functional for all you using my packs. And then there's some prismarine, and we had the different nether variants and different blocks and pieces. It was also allowing me to, I thought about even still using this from time to time just for me to double check how blocks are looking, and I do have a test world, but this really gives you some nice effect with the different lighting and everything to be able to see how it's all looking. Excuse me. Then there was the stone and the grass, and so yeah, this was a lot of fun. Just placing the cross beams and the lights above. That's another thing that's causing lag in here, is all these end rods. But just placing all of that took forever. As you can see, here was the clothing department inside this store, so I have the different armors, and then what I did is I put different types of swords with each one of them. Took me a while, obviously, to either trade or collect all of those items. And here was my redstone department. As you can see, I still don't have comparators done, nor observers, but most of all the redstone pieces are already complete. And then back here it had, as you can see, the terracotta, and then the glazed, and then the concretes, which I never got around to putting in the other colors. That's funny. And here was some miscellaneous ore block pieces, and then glass on this side. Then I had, just like a normal store, I had put, this was a, can't remember what type of a retail it was, but it had, you know, different types of items, and as you can see, the glass shelving and item features and things like that. And obviously some water fountains. And then here was like a little deli market to where while you were shopping you could get your snacks and foods and things. So it allowed for just kind of a fun design. Over on this side was more of the construction area, so it had wood variants and leaves and all of that. There's all the doors and lighting supplies. And if you guys are using the RTX, something I was able to do this week, you can see here the fire has a new glow to it. It was just a new enhancement I was able to figure out. It just adds a little bit more to it. Just gives it a little bit more life. And there was bathrooms back there, some, you know, the actual greenery and yard things, and then a storage room, which I never did finish, but I had just started putting in shelving. Back here was the docks, so that the trucks, I had found a cool semi-truck design by another builder that I was going to use, and it just didn't happen yet. So then you would come back, follow this road over here, and it would take you over to this section, which was going to be a little car park for visitors. Let's see here. Here's the double gate. So when Barrett first started on here, before he left, he had built a couple of little farms back here I came back and put in all the trees and the greenery and all the development. But this was I think that's the kelp farm. Yeah, the kelp farm build. Oh, looks like there's still some smelting up. How funny. As you can see, a small map of the area here. And there was melon and pumpkin. Another cactus farm. Sugar cane. And then I put in a little modern house for the person that might be the grounds manager or whatever of this property. So this is a much more modern build. Let's see here, who does that say? Oh my goodness. Lamont Zaya, is that how you say it? I've always wondered. I know you play with us on Derptopia currently. Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. So this was the modern house build, and I forget where I got it. It's not original. The framing, my design, and my... Yeah, sorry that my name is in Spanish. I had wondered if that was the case. I actually out in New Mexico, and so it lended to that. So very, very cool. But yes, I do a lot of trolling online when I look for plans. I'll either get real house plans and then just follow those, or I'll find some builders. I try to always put a sign out that says original plan by, but I think this one didn't have a creator. I think it was just one of those deals where you have a Minecraft building site that has different plans on it. Pretty sure that's what it was, or one of the iPhone apps. But I took the shell and then I made my own choices of block design. So came in here, and I hate zombies knocking doors down, so I do a lot of iron door places. So that's why you'll see that. But this one actually was a fairly finished interior with tables and some greenery and stuff, and little bar area sitting there, another meeting area, basic work underneath the stairs. It's got a decorated, it's not totally finished, but I had done a little bit better with this one. And then I never did put the bed back up in here. That's a shame. But I really liked the look and feel of this, and obviously the color palette seems to have worked real well. So back over here, because I say we, Barrett, for whatever reason, had some real life stuff and then never was able to return. But he had done a little bit, and then I just took over and grew it out to where this was kind of like a natural pumpkin and melon area that had just grown, and just kind of followed the natural terrain to give it a real life feel back here. Not too overdone, but just enough. So we'll come back up over here. By the way, all of you Derptopia players, I am not done streaming from Derptopia. I just thought it'd be fun to do a couple of these others on different nights. Boy, that thing sheared off weird. That's funny. But to do some of our other worlds, as well as other worlds that I come across from time to time, just because it really, as a texture pack creator, it helps show off that. But definitely will be continuing to do Derptopia new season, as well as other builders on there showcase their stuff. But this, I built my double iron farm back there and then built this monstrosity over it, and we'll run through that. But this was the entrance area, Had some bees with some nice dark oak trees and greenery that would take you into it. I had worked on putting together a moat that went all the way around the whole thing too. So if you come down here, you'll see I also used tons of the sea pickles again. And once again, there's the new texture for kelp. But I came across, I don't even remember if I saw someone else or it was my own, so I don't want to take credit for it, but came across this idea of running prismarine underneath with stone brick, and as you can see, as the color changes, it just really makes it a neat look and feel. And then back here I switched it to prismarine bricks just to stick more with the green color and texture and things like that. So ran that all the way around the edge, and I had done some of these where it's just kind of a build out along the front that made for some fun design, but I didn't ever get it all the way around. And I'll show you why. There was just so much. So when you get up to level 2, did these giant features as if this thing had been here for eons, and ancient civilization or something like that had built. And in the back, you'll see here in a minute, I've got a giant iron golem, because this was the iron farm, and it was like it's paying homage to the iron golems that had gave their life for the supplies or something like that. So I'll walk around this edge and then we'll go up to the next level just to give you an idea, because it mimics this all the way around. And you can hear all that activity. That's one of the iron farms down there. So then on this level, we've got glass panes that run colors, and you'll see it from below here in a minute. But this was a cool design. I kept trying to figure out little patterns that I could put together, and I really liked the contrast of the nether wart block with obsidian. And then in the back here, having the granite and smooth granite with redstone and gold walls. But I did this as an experiment, and I really ended up liking it a lot. Just using alternating colors of glass panes. It really makes a neat feel, plus it sends some shadows and some colored light down that get really fun. But then when you get up to the last and final tier, that's where the giant iron golem is at, actually made out of iron. That was a lot of AFK time. But Blackstone had just come out when I was finishing this upper level, so I ended up using Blackstone because I felt like it really complemented the base of the giant iron golem very well. We'll fly around in a minute so you can see him fully. So I thought, not to be outdone, the upper tier needs to be very rare materials, which tons of lapis and gold. And then there was honey blocks added to make a kind of an amber light stand to kind of play off the firelight. And then I had glazed terracottas here in pattern. And so we'll fly up now. So this will give you a better idea of what his scale and appearance is. I had to cut a hole in him so that obviously the beams could still work with the beacon. Let's go up a little bit higher. And I'll come around here. So, yeah, he took a lot of time. A lot of effort. To get right and to just to kind of play with those colors. But now you can see the enormity of the build itself. And mind you, all of this was done in survival. So there was a lot of chatty nights where it was just different ones of us online just laughing, and we'd be doing our own builds and doing stuff like this. And there was a lot of times where I just got irritated and rage quit because a creeper would come in or something stupid like that. But really proud of this build. I think it really came out nice. So you'll see down here is where I had the iron farms, one on either side. It allowed for a very steady collection until some of those mechanics were broken. But there's that cool effect when you deal with the glass panes if you want to steal that for your builds. Just does some really neat look, especially from underground too. But what I did was I did traders at my interior iron farm, so they became useful idiots as well. And then, because I knew I'd end up AFKing at times and so forth, this was a sand mountain, so this was completely dug out. It was about as high as the middle of that layer right there, and I dug it out completely to flatten it. And so put in my fields for being able to harvest wheat and other crops, and then I had bees, and again these bees despawned, but these guys would help me pollinate, and so that's why I had flowers over here. They would actually bone meal the growth, so it gave me a ton of drops. And this was my quick manual cow farm. Could breed them, then toast them right there and have steak anytime I needed. My smelting room, same as my smelting one at my early base, just another one that I could use quickly, and then another concrete and ore factory right here. There's the second side, the other iron farm. And then, just for fun, I was building around one afternoon because I had all these extra drops and things, so I put together this chest set, and it looks like 2 of them despawned. That's weird. But I had a full chest set here, and Shift Space, who's been with us tonight, was notorious for always going to the end islands and getting all kinds of stuff. So once he started selling dragon heads, I purchased up full sets, but here's 4 of those showing the knights that are waiting to go. That was how I could put together and show those. Then I was using diamond for the king and queen, gold, you know, as you can see, each one of these had their unique formats. So, kind of fun. A little goofy, but fun. And then here's where the real magic happened during that time too. I dug this out all the way to mining level, and I took a photo of an actual mining camp from South America and how they would go through their stone mines, and that's how I came up with the design right here. And obviously, because I was mining out so much, I was able to use polished diorite and polished andesite and then smooth stone, because I had just tons and tons of that material. So if you take this this is how I would get up and down while I was mining it out and figuring it out. But down here was my way to deal with not being able to sleep on the server. So there were so many nights that you couldn't build outside. So what I would do is I built all of this stuff that I could do underground safely. So I had all my tree farms back here, and that had, you know, catwalks that I could drop down onto them and mine them out. Had my giant storage area here, my other nether portal, and as you can see, other types of trees back over here. And then back here, and I always, you guys should already know this, but I always did the flowers next to the trees because it gave me a chance to get a bee nest. So that's why you see so many bee nests in my world. But this was my vine growing area that allowed me to have all kinds of mossy and other types of deals. And then you would click one of these and then you could go out into other outside areas, and this is where I did my nether farms. It allowed me to get all my nether drops. And then here was my basalt farm generator. I'm one of those that I just like to, I don't like to be held hostage by someone's shop in case they don't supply it. So I usually have my own manual versions of everything. That way if I can't buy it at a shop, then I can actually make it myself. So let's see here. What got you into Streaming Derptopia? Hey, interrupt anytime. I really enjoy talking with people and being out. So feel free to chat at any moment. I love it. I started streaming on Derptopia. I really got into all of this. Ooh, I hear a mob. There's a mob moving around somewhere. Might be a slime like that. Nope, it was the llama. But my son, who's older, he's in his 20s, but he had convinced me because I started making my own texture packs. And in the process, he was like, Dad, there's so many people that would love to have these types of stuff. And as I did my research, I realized there just wasn't enough for bedrock. So in the process, I started learning how to, I'm a filmmaker by trade, and so I started learning how to do streaming properly and put out content. And look at that, I never finished that. The goal was to take black concrete and finish this off totally to make it like the end area, just to make it a cool themed deal. But yeah, so in the process I realized, you know, there's streaming's a lot of fun, and if I'm going to play anyway, and I'm going to look at trying to get the attention on the packs so that other people can get involved and use them, it was the perfect thing to stream as well. So just kind of came together. It wasn't something I really set out to do. I've been a gamer my whole life since I was little in the early 70s, playing Pong and Atari 2600, and then programming my own games on the Apple IIc and things like that as things came on, and then building my first computers in the early 90s. So yeah, I've always loved doing all of this. I just never had made it a real public thing. And so that's kind of how it came together. I hope that answers your question. I've been a Silentwisperer fan for a long time, about 3 years, and in the process it was just made sense to, you know, stick with the people that got you going where you're going, and he's been a crazy valuable part of my Minecraft learning and growing, and so I've made a good community here and really been able to some friends and just all of that. So yeah, so this was my gold farm. as you can see, it was portal based that goes all the way up, and you would turn it on and all of your guys would drop down in here into trident killers and get all of my gold drops. That's why you were able to see me have so much gold all over. I don't think there's any in these chests. I think I may have scavenged it all out because I didn't run it very often. Yeah. So then I had my glorified enchanting area here that just made it feel a much more interesting event. Well, I don't know why that texture's acting weird at the moment. Oh, there it is. Yeah, see how, for whatever reason, the game's struggling. That's weird depending on where I look. But anyway, once the cache resets, it'll bring all those textures back properly. If any of you know how to do that, to reset your actual in-game cache so that you can keep this kind of stuff from happening, I'm happy to learn that. So let's see here. Good answer. Thought about maybe streaming, but I've always found a reason not to. Yeah, it can be kind of unique. Streaming is a unique thing, and depending on the person and what they do, yeah, I think the biggest thing is just finding something that people like to watch and to be a part of, and then just be as friendly as you can be, you know. If you've got the technology and the pieces to do it, why not, you know? I hesitated forever, and I finally explained to my family. And so, like tonight, for example, because right now my daughter's in the process of getting married, and she'll move out, and I'll probably convert her bedroom into a studio office. But right now my office is a home office, and actually in my family room, because while my kids were younger, I liked to be around them while I was working. So it made it difficult to be able to stream. Just because I wanted to be with them and be available to chat with them too. And tonight they just said, hey, you haven't streamed in a few days. You want us to go do some other things? And they were really accommodating. So sometimes you just have to make the announcement, hey, I'd like to do this at some point, and just get on it and do it. But if you do, and you're going to take it, you know, seriously, definitely, you know, with the community that we've made through Derptopia, you know, share with everybody so that they can check it out. But this was what became one of my big storage areas, as you can see, with all the shulkers, as I would set up to get prepared for building. And so I would organize these with, you know, drops and things that I was putting together to be able to go out and do specific builds. So I had, you know, because of the literally mining all of this area out, I had tons of stone and other stuff, but so I had enough blocks to build mountains for days. So I built a little working area for all the guys that would come down and work in the mines, and that was kind of the thought process here of this area. So then, and I just thought this was kind of fun to have a lava floor under glass. Just makes it neat. So then if we go into the Nether, okay, so this area was just the entrance to my iron tree farm. And so I, you know, finished it out to give it that nice feel. And obviously included blue ice just to offset it a little bit. But as we walk over here, here was my portal that went to my underground base and my mansion and those things there. And obviously with the diamond blocks and other stuff, my stores had done real well. So I literally had it adorned on a lot of things I was doing. Excuse me, that was the team base. This was my base here, because I did iron, emerald, and diamond entrance. And then this was my trading area with these guys. Allowed me to do the gold trades and all of that. And then this was the entrance to my massive monument pyramid and all of that wonderful things that were over there. So we'll stop running and start flying to go quicker. But I dug this out. This was our Nether Hub design. And if Kula's still here, no worries if not, but he did a ton of this type of work on our server, which was just incredible. He put in the hours and hours working on our Nether Hub stuff, and some point we'll definitely want to show his builds. But back here I had put together a nether tunnel of sorts that allowed me to get all the way back here and go into my nether fortress safely. I used glass and stuff so none of the mobs could see me coming through. It was dangerous when I built it, but afterwards it made for some nice tunnels that allowed for me to be able to see the nether mobs and all the danger and not getting toast all the time. But when we come back down here, this goes up and takes to my ocean monument, and I'll show you that build. But I thought this was a really cool look and feel to have magma walls, magma block. And normally if we were on the server I would just boat out here. Since we're in creative, we'll just play. But this would take you over to my, as you can see, oh, my other sign must have blown up or something. That's weird. Yep, must have. See how this is just floating? The creeper must have gone off. But I had a sign by who designed it, and I can't remember. This one might have been another one of... I think it was one of the truly bedrock people. But it was a blaze farm. And it allowed me to get all of my drops that I needed for making anything that was blaze related. Had a trident killer right there, and so when I would be AFK here, I would have nether wart growing in this room. I had to build out this room in order to protect it. You can still see that stuff would spawn, but pretty effective blaze farm. It was nice and very functional and really helped, especially those early days of the server. Supplies are limited. And then I have a highway that would go all the way out to where I had a witch farm. But I didn't do any special build with it, so we won't worry about that. But this would take you up to where to get nether skulls, or wither skulls I should say. We had a team nether fortress. So you can see here we built, this was a really ingenious idea. I think it was a Stonecracker that showed me how to do this. But you put slabs on either side, slab above your head, and now you can knock down any of these guys that come at you, but they can't get you. And so it makes for a really nice way to get wither skulls, because you can literally just cascade through these areas and just keep going around till you get the withers that you want. But you do have to watch out for, as we all know, these guys are just punks. But this takes you to my ocean monument. So I literally gutted out the monument. My goal was to take the monument and make it into another home. But I had gutted it out, and that's how I was able to use so many of the blocks and then also drops. And then down here, I had added another mining area. So you can see here, and it turned out that this had a couple of slime chunks. So I ended up, while I would be mining and doing stuff, ended up collecting so much slime that I actually started lining some of the walls and stuff with it because there just wasn't any other purpose for it. But again, this allowed me to have very nice mining, and because I had so many drops from this Guardian farm, I actually was using, as you can see, sea lanterns for lighting my tunnels. Normally it's just torches, but you know how that goes. So, actually the farm, as you know, would be up above, and so we'll go check that out. But I made it into, again, just like most of my builds, and I think all of us end up this way, not totally finished. So it was originally planned to be a ocean liner dock. So you'll see I had put in, looks like it might be raining out there. Let's see here. Let's get to clear. So I'd put in these giant girders all the way around. There we go. Now we get a little bit better light on this. So all the way around the whole thing, these giant girders, because once we get up top, you're going to see here now, that's the Guardian farm portion of it, all right there. But I went up and built all of this with a crane. And my original plan was to put in, you know, those large barges and then have all kinds of storage pieces and stuff up in there. And so we'll climb up there. But let me drop here and I'll show you this if you've never seen a Guardian farm. Really neat deal, and this is Silentwisperer's design. I tend to use a lot of his stuff as long as it's server friendly, and was using carpet at the time to prevent spawning. Now with the new light mechanics, you're in pretty good shape. It's a huge thing they did for us. It had all the cells that would then organize all the drops to a central location, which would then funnel all the drops up here. And here was the room with the collection system, and you could gather XP right here and all of that kind of stuff. So as you can see, there was a fish that had just come through and cycled through, and then we'd get all the drops throughout all these chests. And yeah, very, very, very effective. And so then let me see here. Okay, that's the only way we can go through. So then you would come over on the edges. Had these water elevators take you up to the first platform of the oil derrick or the shipping yard or whatever all of this was going to be when it was finished. And so now we had these multi-level platforms, and like I said, I had originally wanted to put in a bunch of shipping containers and then actually finish it all out. Just as you know, sometimes there's just too many things to do. I did enjoy doing this crane, and that one I got off of one of the Minecraft apps on the iPhone. I have 3 or 4 for iPhone, iPad that gives different build ideas and block by block pieces, and so that's where I'd found it. So I just redid it. I liked it a lot enough. And again, all in survival. So there was a lot of trial and error and goof up points and then rebuild it and get it right, but still very proud of this build. We'll do a fly around here. So you can imagine how cool it would have been to have a barge right there with shipping containers and stuff on it. That was the vision. If I would have had, 5 or 6 team partners to build with, obviously could have done more, but that's just all how it works. Just do what you can with what you got at the time. Make the best of it. So, we'll run back through here. Let me see here. Not sure if Shift is still around. He may have had to have left, but we did do a really fun build together, which was our large gold farm. And this goes way back, a couple of years ago. With the tech, it doesn't work like it used to. But this was probably one of the most beast farms I had ever been a part of. It took us 3 months, 5 to 8 of us together at odd hours of the night from all over the world. We would run through and dig out an 8 chunk by 8 chunk area of the ocean. So we'll zip down this tunnel. This should take us straight all the way over there. Let's see here, we're on a coffee's place. I remember digging all this out and laying down a ton of this ice. That was something we did on this server, was a lot of ice highways, so you could literally fly this fast like I am in creative right now on a boat and get to and from places. Okay, so yeah, gold farm's back this way. You can see why we needed it like that. Okay. So this was the entrance that I built after we were done. And it has a little bit of things going on outside the glass there. Yeah, because we're literally under the ocean. So as you can see, there's the walls and things, but I think Shift may have literally done almost all of these portals himself. I don't remember, but we spent, like I said, months digging this thing out. But when you would come here on the server, you could either fly down or climb down the staircase. And that was one of the years during the holiday. We had someone on the server, I don't even remember who, but had a Christmas shop. And so we paid for them to put a Christmas tree in our area, and it's cool that it's still here. And it looks like someone busted a block out right there. But what we did is we put glass down here, black glass, and in a normal texture pack you can see all the way to bedrock right there. So that was kind of a neat feature and a neat look. When we were done, I actually, with the stuff we had at the time, I never did update this. I should have with better palette. But if you get way back, it's got almost a Silentwisperer head, but the color palette was a little off. But we had a basic enchanting area here because this was to be a community gold farm. So if you came in here, as you can see, it would spawn pigmen, and they would die, and you can hear the clicking. The system would pick up the drops and then organize it. Then you could get XP. And so with the XP, we had this so that you could come enchant your items and so forth. And Yusung had built a place to hang out and then brew up potions and stuff. So you could come back here and use the auto brewer. And then he built a fountain there as well, just to make it look nice. And we had built a area that had storage because Silent was very kind to us. He said if we were gonna literally dig this out ourselves, that it'd be a community XP farm, but we would be able to keep all the gold drops. So just to give you an idea of the enormity of this, this is from one side of it to the other. Even in creative at full speed, you can see how long this takes to travel. This was just an amazing deal to have been a part of. So there's at water level. You can even see the pigmen dropping while we're while we're in here. They'd get funneled down in there. But without spoiling it, because I hate to do it with someone else's builds and things unless they wanted. Right there was one of Shift Space's map art areas. But we'll get up high enough that you can see a little bit better on this monstrosity here. Because of mob caps and things like that, it really stopped being of any major value there towards the end. Still an impressive build though to see and to have been a part of. So we'll drop back down here, go through the portal. I will show you the Nether Hub. And some of the shopping district. And I need to find out from the other players. There's even builds on here that I don't even know what's there. Just simply because there was so much going on. It'd be great to have some proper coordinates. I think in our Discord, I think there may even be some locations listed there. So I'll need to check that out, and then maybe we can explore on another stream some of these other areas. But as you can see, the original hub design was by Yasung. He was the winner, and in fact right now our Derptopia competition is ending at the end of this week. And so it'll be fun to see. I didn't enter into it at all this time. But it'll be interesting to see who wins and what our new hub will be and how we'll design it on our new server. But Dr. Tay's area would be fun to come tour on one of these streams. He did a lot on this season. But that was the diagonal version of the hub. I'm going to walk so you can get it in grandeur. But this is the Nether Hub that we ended up with. And the 4 cardinal directions had giant letters so you knew which direction that you were headed when you were headed out. And this one would take you to my base and a bunch of others back there. But that was, so this was a normal run for me. But as you can see, as you've got your diagonals, your cardinals, and everything all across on the lower level. And then it would take you to the different farming areas as well. Then you get up on the second level, and this is where the Nether portals were. One would take you to shopping, one side, the other side would take you to the gaming. So, very much fun, and we had so much trouble because of its size with ghasts loading in that we actually ended up above here, started trapping ghasts in boats just so that they meet the mob cap and quit blowing up this place. But that's why you see it has a emergency tools and things like that. And then we had emergency blocks to replace, and regularly all of us were having to replace things in here. But as you can tell, just a really neat, cool looking build. Okay, so this took you to our original spawn area. I need to tell it to be clear again. So I definitely don't want conduit effects out here either. So, this was our whole shopping district, which is just going to take some time of its own. I'm going to give you a quick peek, and we'll probably call it the end of the stream tonight. I'm actually filming a wedding tomorrow, and we've got to travel to it, so my son and I'll get up in the morning and drive to that, and it's going to be a good day, but I need to make sure that I have some proper rest tonight. But back on the other side here, down in a mine area, was our bunker area, and you can see it has stuff going on that's game breaking inside of it. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to actually stream that, but we can definitely do some streaming around on the shopping area. Some of this will not cooperate because of some of the game mechanics that are broken, but we'll come back in and maybe on the next stream, and I'll do my best to go around areas that aren't game critical. It's going to kill it and show off some of these cool builds and things. But anyway, really appreciate each one of you spending your evening with me, and those of you that catch up on our stuff. And then obviously big shout out to the patrons who have really been keeping this alive as far as the packs go, and being able to keep developing it and growing it. And appreciate you guys more than you know. Having a community of gamers and being able to hang out is just a special thing. And so hope everybody, if I don't talk to you, if I'm not able to hop on before the end of the year, which is in a few days, Wish you a happy new year, and hope life is treating you well, and we will talk soon. All y'all have a good night.